Hello and welcome. Today I want to talk to you about 1999's The Blair Witch Project, the film that brought the found footage genre into the mainstream. And though it's one of the most financially successful horror films of all time, I still think it's criminally underrated as far as the critical consensus is concerned. I'm Sandy Nicholson and this is Perfect Scares. Now, I should warn you that I'm a little bit obsessed with the Blair Witch Project. I've seen this film dozens of times, watched both the fictional documentaries, and even read this thing, a dossier compiling all the mythology and backstory of the film. I'm obviously going to try not to refer much to those things because a good story shouldn't need you to have read the book. But I do think the Blair Witch Project is a strange case because really the film itself was just an artefact of the mythology. It's one set of letters found in a giant Call of Cthulhu box of goodies. I think to get the most out of the film, you do have to have gone digging a little bit, but that doesn't mean that the film as an artifact doesn't have a lot to offer. Found footage has a really bad reputation among horror fans, and with many good reasons, but it does have huge strengths, and when it knows how to play to those strengths, it can be extremely powerful. And if there's one thing found footage is incredibly good at, it's texture. It's making you feel like you have stumbled onto a museum that's full of information about strange and awful things, but all the lights are off, and all you have is a torch.
We're doing a documentary about the Blair Witch.
Oh,
have you heard of the Blair Witch?
oh yeah, that's an old story.
The film's first moment of genius is the interviews with the townspeople, not just because it gives you the impression that this is a lived-in myth, but also because the accounts are all strange and vague and often contradictory. It helps as well that while some of these people are actors who've been told what to say, some of them are just people on the street saying stuff. It really adds to the idea that there's no one idea at play here. These people have forgotten most of what there is to know about this witch, but they do have stories to tell.
Finally, one day, old Mr. Parr come down into the market and said, "I'm finally finished."
And what did he mean by that?
Well, I guess nobody knew at first, but the police finally went up on the mountain and they searched his house and they found the bodies of 7 kids from the area.
What he did is he took the kids down in the basement by twos, and he made one face into the corner.
Really?
And then he would kill the other one. And then when he was done with that, he'd grab the one out of the corner and kill that one too.
From there comes the meat of the film, during which the 3 get lost in the woods, and every night they stay there, things get worse and worse. And the escalation is beautiful, because every time they're walking through the woods and getting more and more snappy with one another, it starts to get dark, and you're just filled with this absolute gruesome dread that you do not want to spend another night in these woods. And again, everything they encounter, all the scary things they come across, are all themselves just more artifacts of a wider story. If anyone has read Styx by Carl Edward Wagner, it portrays this beautiful. There's no explanation given for the stick figures they encounter, nothing that clearly says what they're for, and that's what makes them frightening. They're deliberate, but not practical. It's the implication of something wider, whether it's worship, ritual, or something else. Somebody has taken the time to make these things, but why is something we'll never know. And all these glimpses at the museum and the escalating tension all build to the final scene. The first bit of power comes from just the pure geometry of it. It's the same reason that the first shot of the monolith from 2001 is so unsettling. We've been in the woods for so long that we haven't seen anything man-made in a long time, and now here it is, something so bizarrely human.
Come on. Come on, I'm in the house.
It's also the first time we've had any kind of cross-cutting between the 2 cameras, which leads to a really creepy accident where sometimes you can hear the audio from one camera with the footage from another, and then finally, it all comes to this.
I hear him. I hear him. I hear you. Josh! I'm going upstairs. Where is he? Where are you? Come on, Josh. I hear him downstairs. Come on, I hear him downstairs. Come on, Josh. Josh, is that you down there? Josh.
And that's it. And I'm not going to pretend this is what happened to everyone, but I know it happened to a lot of people, and I remember it very distinctly myself. I left the cinema and spoke to my friends, and none of us really understood what had happened at the end, not right away. And then it hit one of us, and she said, "Wasn't there something about a guy making one kid stand in the corner while he murdered the other one?" And we all felt this collective chill that ran through us. That's what found footage does better than anything else, that chill. That ending's so powerful because it's tense and frantic and the imagery is creepy and then a big thing happens. Yes, that's all very classic, but the actual scare happens outside of the text itself. It happens when you put two things together. You're the one who creates the scare yourself by collating these artifacts and making the connection. And yes, we're told the story earlier about Rustin Parr and the murderers, but it's buried amongst so much other stuff, and I think you're much more likely to take away the image of people covered in horsehair or rescue parties tied to rocks than you are anything about being made to stand in a corner. The misdirection is expert because it forces you to be the one that connects these dots and create that terror for yourself. That experience of standing outside the cinema, trying to understand what I'd just watched, that was when I fell in love with horror movies. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more great horror scenes, and please talk to me about the Blair Witch Project because I can't get enough of it. I'll see you next time.